absolutely love how Spirit works. Someone asked me, as I'm stepping into this place as a spiritual leader, what my role was going to be here specifically. And specifically, my role here is to encourage and support you in what it is you want to do and how you want to unfold. We already have beautiful ministries in place, and there's no need for me to tap into any of that. That's already happening. The music department, this is a beautiful song that you picked today. Thank you so much. Thank you. The board talked about me trying to keep up with me. I'm trying to keep up with you all. Everybody has great ideas, and I'm so excited. So we are on, I was talking to Leanne back there. By the way, I missed Lillian's cake last week. Thank all of you for saving it in peace. Appreciate it. No, I know, I was already told, get it while you can. But I was back there talking to Leanne, and she said, we are, what did she say? She said, we are making waves. That's what she said. We are making waves. And I love that, because it's exactly what we're doing. And so I want to talk with you today about why it is you simply cannot lose. You simply can't lose. And that's because the law of expectation, which says, whatever you confidently expect becomes your reality. Whatever you confidently expect becomes your reality. And that is why you simply cannot lose. How many of you have seen The Matrix? Anyone seen The Matrix? And you know Morpheus was played by Lawrence Fishburne. Can you play slide 2? Wait, back to slide 2. Oh, yeah. Okay. So what if I told you that the universe is on your side? That not only is it on your side, the universe conspires for you. In other words, instead of something conspiring against you, the universe actually conspires for you. It's on your side. So if I tell you that, what is your thinking? What goes on in your mind right now? What's your reaction? Do you believe it?
Yes.
Is there some amount of disbelief? Is there some amount of, I'd like that to be so. Some ways it is, and some ways it's not. I'd like that to be more so. What would our life be like? How would it be different if we believed it completely? When Jason and I first got married, we were together for 37 years, and it was a great life. It has come to an end, and that's okay, because that's how it goes. Life goes on, and you don't try to hang on to what is no longer working. But it worked for 37 years. And when we first got together, he said to me, we would get into I thought it was an argument. That's where I come from. We argued. He said it was a discussion. And that he was on my side. And I'm telling you, I could not understand that. Because from my perspective, if we're arguing, you're talking about your position and I'm talking about mine. I want to tell you, it's embarrassing to tell you that it took me 10 years to understand what he was talking about. I couldn't get it. Every time we had a discussion, I'm trying to make my point, right? So, once I finally understood that, once I got that Jason was on my side, then I understood that whatever it was I expected is what was going to be my reality. So rather than, and what he was trying to tell me was, the reason why he was on my side is that he wasn't trying to argue with me, he was trying to understand. He was trying to understand what was my point. So if we walked that way, if we understood that the universe conspired for us, and whenever someone had something to share with us, we already know, how well do you know your own point? Right? You know your own point. You don't need to argue your point. Yes, thank you, Jesse. You already know your point. But so what would it be like if you just wanted to try to understand somebody else's point? If you knew that the universe conspired not only for you, because as the choir just said, we're all one. We're all one. So the person you're talking to is God as well. So if all we did was shut down, trying to put our point across and understood theirs, we would what? We would find how we are connected. That's one of the ways that it was different. Can you place number 3, slide 3? The next one? Oh, 3 points. Oh, is it already empty? Is it already empty? Okay. All right, have one or two, 3 points, 2 or 3 points that I'd like you to walk away with. One, the universe is calling. The universe is calling to you, calling to us to do the greatest thing that we're supposed to be doing, our greatest yet to be. The universe is calling. In order for us to see, to hear it, to know what that is, we have to expect it. We have to expect it. And the way that we begin to do that, we have to watch what we're thinking, because our thoughts are powerful. The fact is, we each have a purpose. We have a purpose as a community. We have an individual purpose. And we're here for the universe, the laws, and there are more laws than the law of expectation. We're going to talk about that right now. We'll talk about more. But the law of the universe is readily available always to fulfill our purpose. So how do I know? Next slide. Thank you, John. How do I know? Well, there's several people who have told us. Jesus told us. Here he told us. He said, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also. And greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto the Father." So what he is saying is just believe what I'm telling you. You don't need to believe in me. Believe what I'm telling you and go to the Father. And when he talks about the Father, he's not talking about that gray-haired, long-haired, bearded guy that we always out there somewhere that we kind of grew up with. That's not the Father he's talking about. He's talking about the one in us that we all know is there. Go unto the Father and everything. And this man walked on water. And he's telling us we're going to do more than that? So that's one thing. The next slide, please. If you don't know J. Scott Neal, he wasn't the founder, but he came right as soon as Ernest Holmes founded the church in Los Angeles, the Science of Mind Church in Los Angeles. He wrote a book called The Power of Positive Purpose. And he says it is our daily responsibility to ourselves to relax into the fact that the universe is friendly. Okay? Relax into that fact. It is always available, ready to fulfill itself as us, as perfect health, as happiness, as success, as all the things that God is, because we are one. We are God's. God is within us. So everything that God is available to us too. Right? Deepak Chopra tells us, the next slide, in the spontaneous fulfillment of desire. The one before, go back to the next one.
There it is.
There. Oh, we already did, I'm sorry. I did two. Deepak, in the spontaneous fulfillment of desire, he says, I'm going to explain this one. He talked about non-local intelligence in his book. If you read this book, and we might do that for a second class, I don't know. Maybe Cindy will do it for a second. Anyway, maybe she'll do that one day. Non-local intelligence is information correlated faster than the speed of light outside the boundaries of standard physics, which means we know something we don't know why we know it. Right? We know something we don't know why we know it. That's really what it means. So we experience this non-local intelligence as coincidence, which is a clue to the intention of the universal spirit. Now, we always say there is no such thing as coincidence, right? Isn't that what we say? There's no such thing as coincidence. And the intention of the universal spirit is your intention. The will of God is your will. What the universe does is it goes from the thoughts in our head, the thoughts that we believe and hold to, not fleeting thoughts, like, oh, this traffic is horrible today, I could kill myself, so on. Not those thoughts. The thoughts that we believe and hold on to, and those thoughts in mind go right here into the spirit of the law within you and is manifested out into the physical universe. Thoughts into spirit, into physical manifestation. That's how it works. That is the law of spirit. And Emerson finally told us, the dice of God are always loaded. The dice is loaded. It's in our favor. Okay? The dice of God is loaded in our favor. You cannot roll a bad number with God. Can't do it. Okay? So, the next slide. So these three things again that I want you to know today. The universe is calling. To see it, expect it, and to watch our thoughts. The next slide. And if you do that, if you do those three things, then what's going to happen is you will have the life you desire. You will have the life you deserve. You will have the life that Spirit wants for you. Because again, the will of God is what is within you. Spirit wants it for you too. So, the question becomes, again, how do we know that the universe is calling? How do you know? I'm telling you what they told you, but how do you know, personally? Because we have intuitive knowing. Because we feel it. Because we hear it. We have nudges from God all the time. How many times have you been thinking about someone and they picked up the phone and called you? Hello, can I get an amen? Amen. Exactly. Okay. Or they popped up on Facebook, whatever it was. Just the other day, I was. I think this popped up on Facebook. We're trying to do Facebook Live right now, and so that popped up last week. This woman who's a friend of mine, we did an Emerson group together when we were in Asia. We were in Phuket together. Her name was Tricia Miller. I haven't seen. She left before I did Asia, and I haven't seen her for 6 years. She saw that, and she said, "Oh my!" And she wrote under it. She said, "I was just thinking about you." and I wrote, and when I saw that, I wrote there, "Girlfriend, here's my number, call me." She's coming to Dallas on Tuesday. I haven't seen her in 6 years. She's coming to Dallas on Tuesday. So we already know. How many of you have stories like that? How many of you have stories like that? All of you have stories like that. Even if you can't think of it right now. Yes, thank you, Jesse. Even this baby has stories like that. Okay? Yes. You have stories like that. Sorry, I missed your little hand up. Exactly. Beautiful. So, we all have stories like that. But what's the problem then? If we have stories like that, and we know there's coincidence, why isn't our life exactly where we want it to be right now? What's the problem? The problem sometimes is that we're not listening. You know, our lives get full. There's a lot of noise, right? That's one of the reasons why we meditate, because there's always noise. There's always things going on. I talk with people and say, "Oh, you know, I intended to, I meant to." I know. There's no reason that you don't have to say it. I know. My life is busy too. You always have to prioritize and make room for stuff. And in the middle of all that busyness, there's a lot going on in your mind. Malcolm Gladwell says, though, and before I go to Malcolm, he says, there's also a thing that we're afraid to believe, right? We've all read that, heard that speech, talk from Marianne Williamson about the light of Africa. That our greatest fear is that we're greater than we know. It's our light. It's our own light that we're afraid of. Because what is it? You know, step into it. But we know already. We know. And there is much out there about what we know in the blink of an eye. In 2 seconds. Just looking at something or feel, we know something right away. But we don't want to, how could I possibly know that? Nothing happened. Nothing happened. And so intellectually we talk ourselves out of it. But my point is this. The next slide. No. Before that, is that one before that? This one. Why are we fearful? Because we've heard stories, we tell stories, and we're still hearing stories. Life is hard. Okay? Life is hard. If it's too, what do we say if something's too easy? What do we think?
Something's wrong.
Something's wrong. Something's wrong. It's too easy. This is a scam. My little niece told me she's opening a business. I'm so proud of her. She's a single mom. She's very spiritual, and she talked to God and she said, "Hey, you know, I want to do this business." And she's a nutritionist, so she wanted to open a nutritional bar. And she talked with these people who their bar wasn't working; they were going to close it down. And so she went and she talked with them. She has a mentor, and they wanted, I believe the number was 30,000, could have been 36, but they wanted 30,000 from her to open to switch over the ownership of it. And so she went, she talked to her mentor, and she said, "I really want to do this, and I know that God's leading me to it, but they want 30,000 for it." He said, "No, offer them 5." And that's exactly what she said. What? They're going to laugh at you. Hey, listen to me now. Go and tell them you want it and offer them 5 and just walk away. Don't stand around. Just say, "I have it right now, 5,000. Call me when you're ready." They said, "Oh, fine. No, we weren't doing that. Okay, we're going to think about it. We'll call you." She thought she was going to hear from them the following week. She didn't even get home. She didn't get home, and they called her and said, "It's yours." Exactly. So the whole family was kind of getting together, home here, paint, and all this stuff. But this is what we know. You listen to, she knows that already. God told her, and she didn't exactly know how, but the mentor told her, this is how you're going to do it. And so my point is this, and that's why I wanted to talk earlier when Rebecca was saying, if you're thinking of something, it's going to be yours. But don't be afraid of that. As we talked about last week, the energy that's there, God is there with you. You don't need to be qualified. The Spirit will qualify you to do it once you raise your hand. Okay? Can I get an amen? Amen. Okay, thank you so much. Hallelujah. So you don't have to worry about that. Life is easy. Life is easy. Let it be easy. That's our motto. Let it be easy because it's supposed to be easy. The universe makes it easy. If we hear the call, all we have to do is listen, and we have to expect to hear it. The next slide. Law, you're right there. Stay there. Already there. Because the law of expectation again says that whatever you confidently expect, it becomes your own self-fulfilling prophecy. How many of you have bought, it may not be a new car, but a new-to-you car, even if it was new. How many of you have ever bought a new-to-you car? Right? Okay. After you bought it, how many of them did you see around? Exactly. They were nowhere in sight. But the moment you bought one, everybody had one. Right? Everybody had one. That's because you were awake to it. You were tuned to it. And that's all I'm saying. That's how it works. You are awake to the law of expectation. I told you last week what my father expected from me. There are some expectations that people have of you. You don't have to accept it if it doesn't work for you. But if it does, accept it. My father said I was smart. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that. And I tell my kids the same thing. They have no ability to come and tell me they don't understand something. No. You may not have enough information. We're going to get you the information. We're going to get the tutoring, whatever you need. But you have the brain power. I'm not going with that. You are smart. And I think I have, I just read my book up here. Is there a book in that big bag? Yeah. Be careful. Here, there's a book. I want to read something to you.
I don't have.
Step back.
Is there a book in there? Yeah. Can you just bring the book? Men are always afraid to go through women's first.
We know better.
We know better. Thank you. So, there has been studies done on the law of expectation. And Dr. Robert Rosenthal, Dr. Robert Rosenthal, he's a Harvard University professor. He came up with he did the expectancy effects experiments. I'm going to read from this book. This is you can see how it's all lined up and papered up and clipped up and rusty. I've had this book, I think, since somewhere in the end of the 1990s. I love it. It's called Maximum Achievements by Brian Tracy. He's one of my gurus. If you don't have a guru, buy one. Just buy one. They write it all down. So this is what he said. Here's what his experiment was. In San Francisco, at the beginning of the school year, 3 teachers were called into the principal's office, and the principal told them that we've been observing you, you're wonderful teachers, and so because of that we want to reward you. We've got a special group of kids. They have been selected on the basis of their IQ test, and we expect them to make jumps of 20 to 30%. That was the setup. Okay? At the end of the school year, the 3 classes not only led the school, but the entire school district in grades on standardized tests. They achieved a leap of 20 to 30% among them in academic achievement over the previous year, just as had been predicted. But what the principal explained to the teachers once he called them back in, he said the students were not exceptional at all.
Wow.
Their names had been chosen by a lottery out of the school population at large. So the only difference was what the teachers expected from them. Okay? That's how powerful it is for us to expect great things. So my question is this to you. What is that's just how I am. That's just how he is. That's just how she is. What story like that are you telling? Because if it's a good story, that's just how she is. She's fun, she's happy, That's just how I am. The world is horrible. Right? What's that story? We all have them. And I'm asking you to think about that. And how do we go from those old stories to our new stories? Look at the next slide. How do we do that? How do we do it? We talked about it before. You just change your mind. Right? Just change your mind. Be ye transformed. Be ye not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. By the renewing of your mind. That's how we have control over it. What we do, what we think, our own attitude. I'd love to be able to tell you how to live your life, because I think I know so much. I think so. But it's better if you figure it out. It'll be better for you. Right? And then it'll be less work for me. And the world will still be a great place. The world will still be a great place. So how do we do that? The next slide. How do we change our mind? There's 8 things I want to talk to you about. You don't have to remember them all. It's not going to be a test. But here's how we do it. You have to start with, I had someone the other day say to me that they didn't like the negativity that was in their mind all the time. The negative talk that they had about themselves. They didn't care about that. So that's the first thing you have to do is observe your thoughts. Just observe your own thoughts. What are you thinking? What are you thinking, particularly about yourself? Because here's what we know. If you don't love you,
can't love anybody else.
It's not possible. It really is not possible. You have to start with you. That's why the beginning of this series is, it's all about you. Any change you want to see is the change you make with you. That's the only change that's going to happen. Yeah. So it starts with that, observe your thoughts. And then it starts with just making a decision. You see something and you decide something. And after that, you affirm the truth or deny the lie. Right? Affirm the truth. If I say something like, oh, you know what, that is hard. And sometimes it is. You're getting ready to start something. I'm getting ready to start a math class that is, they say it's college algebra. Now, I already have my bachelor's degree, and I have never seen any algebra like this. And they changed college. What's happening? It's you know, and I know how to speak to myself about that. So when the fear starts coming up, and that thing to me says, I don't know this. This is hard. That is not true. That's deny the lie. That is not true. Affirm the truth. I am smart. All I got to do, if I don't know this, is get some help. There's plenty of help out there. Right? So affirm the truth, deny the lie. And these first 3 things, this is what we call, it's the 3 stages of consciousness for learning something. The 3 stages, I don't have it up there, it's just, I'm just going to tell it to you. I forgot to put it in the slide. But it's like driving a car. Like when you first learn how to drive a car, we all know how to drive. Yeah? Does anybody not know how to drive? Does anybody know how to drive or kind of know how to drive? Think you know how to drive? You know how to drive? So here's how it goes. The first time you learn how to drive is called unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know. Right? You don't know. You don't know how hard it's going to be. You have no idea. And particularly if you're trying to drive a stick shift. Oh my God. So you get in the car and you're like, what the heezy? So then it becomes conscious incompetent. I know for a fact I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. Then you start driving a little bit. Maybe you have a teacher, whatever. You start looking up some stuff. And now, the first time you start driving, but you got to pay attention. You can't let it go. That's conscious competence. You have to stay on it, right? But then, it's unconscious competence. Now we're driving, we're putting on makeup, we're eating a burger, we're calling our friends, we're texting, right? All right, which we shouldn't be doing, by the way. It's a safety announcement. But I'm just saying, those are the stages. I'm just saying that to change your mind, to change the renewal of your mind, it takes some of those steps. You have to observe it. So there's going to be some little bit of a fight. But you have to, and pretty soon, you're going to own it. You're going to be unconsciously owning the new thing. So you want to stop, and I have stopped picturing it, the thing, but what I want to put the positive thing on is just picture what you, instead of stop picturing the negative, which you want to do that too. When the negative picture comes up, just push it aside and see what you want to see. What is supposed to be happening. Picture the vision of what you want to see. And stop telling stories. Stop telling stories. there's a minister, and if you have a Sunday off or a Sunday away from us or out of town, whatever, I invite you to go and take a look and take a listen to the CSL. It's the Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas. It's been led for a long time by a minister named Petra Weldes, and now it's co-led by Petra Weldes and Karen. Whatever Karen's name. I'm sorry, Karen. I'm her name. But anyway, it's Petra and Karen. But here's what. And I go to classes there on Wednesday night because it's very close to my house. And she's so very clear about the spiritual New Thought message. And I go there for my own spiritual uplifting. And so she said this. She said, you have an experience. If you want to share an experience, that's great. We live in this world. Things are going on. You want to share the experience. You share it. You share it again, okay, because it's a new group of people, and it was exciting, whatever it was, and maybe it was traumatic, and you're sharing that experience. Okay. Maybe you shared it the third time. Now some people in the room have already heard the experience. So now you're starting to make a story. You see what I'm saying? Now it's becoming a story. Is it a story you want to have? That's how stories start, by sharing experiences over and over, and now it's your story. So it's okay, again, if it was a good story. And by good, I'm not defining it. You're defining it. Because by good, it's the principles that you live by, who you say you want to be. So if you have an experience that you define as good, go ahead and turn it into a story. But if it's not, share the experience once or twice and let it go. That's one of the ways that we do it. The other big thing is gratitude. Just be grateful. The universe is abundant. I simply cannot say that enough. And you can tell by looking, just everywhere you go, how many leaves on a tree, how many grains of grass, how many birds are flying, how many different species of things there are. The difference between you and me is myriad. And yet we're alike. And the same, and one. It's amazing. So the universe is abundant. So while we're maybe going through something, maybe trying to change our story to an experience, to something we want to do, we want to be grateful for what is working. Be grateful for that. And we need to forgive. And the biggest thing that we need to forgive is ourselves. We have to begin to forgive ourselves. We don't even know what we're upset about ourselves about. We don't always. I get back to the top part. We got to observe that. When we're upset about something, and here's a question I ask myself all the time. Seriously. I stop myself getting upset about something, or to someone. The question I ask myself is, what's it to you? Yeah, why are you upset? You're not even in this story. It's not even you. What are you doing? So I have to stop myself and say, what's it to you? So I need to look and say, what is it? Is there something in my background? Is there something that I need to release? Whatever. Again, it's all about you. It's all about you. So we need to do that. And again, I just want to say, do you. Just do you. Because you are all you. You give the right to do you. You don't have to explain you. Nobody has to get you but you. Right? It's all about you. Just do you. And let everybody else do them. Because when you do you, you free up everybody else to do themselves as well. Because believe me, all of us have some quirky stuff. No, but if someone else saw it, they go, my God, she can do it. If he can do it. So do you. You have the chance to do themselves. Yeah? Okay, that's what we do. And then we have to meditate. And don't worry about it. We say meditate, it's such a big, heavy word. John does a beautiful job. I love your flute. And, we have this time here. 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I don't care. Just spend a regular amount of time for you in a quiet space so you can begin to hear God. Because God is speaking to you, but you can't hear him if there's a lot of clamoring going on. A lot of clamoring going on. So that's a big thing that we want to do. So that's what we need to do. Can we go to the next slide? So 3 things to take away, please. The universe is calling. We know how. People have told us already, and we know because of our own experience. I'm asking you to go ahead and start with this thing. To see it, expect it. So begin to expect great things. You already have an expectation. You have an expectation of things. Is it a great expectation? If it's not, change it. Change what you expect to be great things. You have a right for the life that you want to be easy, to come at you easy. Let it be easy. And watch your thoughts. Watch what you're thinking and renew your mind if they're not the thoughts that are going to take you where you want to go. So every week we talked about this. Garrett and Paul talked about when we do something here at the church and I talk in the morning, we want to come back the following week possibly and talk about how what our experience was with trying to add that to our lives. So the final slide, again, back to the things. I'm going to ask you to pick one. Write it down right now. Commit to it. Pick one of these action items. And let's come back to next week and talk about it. How did it work in your life? Were you able to stop and observe your thoughts? Were you able to change your mind? Were you able to vision what you wanted? Pick one, okay? And commit to doing one thing next week. Once you do that, the last slide, you're going to know what Bo knows. Just do it. That's all you need to do. Just do it. Namaste. Bye.